Chapter 8 The Birth of a Bridge. At the clouds' surrender of their weightless white bodies to the sun's ruthless constancy, the ocean below embraces their dance of light in full, compassionate joy. Shimmers of diamond angelic photons scintillate on the surface, their level of brilliance to invoke awe in the beholder rivaled only by the vast infinity of the stars in space. The firmament gave of its full body as canvas to shades akin to the gradient of a peach, from skin to pit. Reflective radiance waltzed all throughout sun, moon, and earth on this day, at this moment, in this embrace. Beneath the celestial speakeasy, a dance just as divine was soon to occur within the ocean of earth. A mother, birthing her calf, amniotic fluid mixed in murky resplendence with the salt water, a faded, eternal return. A slight rebirth of recapitulation itself. Rising to the surface, the fluid met the sun's rays, penetrating and prismatizing at their angles, only to rekindle a sacred, ancient parlance between life and the fuel of life. The neonate lifted her head above the water, her eyes both in and of awe, pointing their inner witnesses to the emanations up above. Golden sunset was the very first thing they ever saw, their pupils drawn to the rays, pulling the calf to breach above the water. Inches away from those old-souled eyes were her eye spots, reflecting the sunlight in saturation, like two saucers, twinkling pink, like the color of the clouds above. She was born at the 13th hour of sunlight, night one of the longest day. Traditionally, to be born now was an omen of good fortune for each member of the pod. They lived and live within each and every plane of existence, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, cosmically, and philosophically, according to their body's coloration and the extremity of complementarity. It was a tradition held with honor throughout the generations, and meant to embrace both dark and light aspects of themselves fully. In this way, they never left behind any member of their inner pod, of whose nature would always contribute to the safety and well-being of the outer pod. And yet, there were more ancient truths that only their grand elder could ever remember, or was ever even meant to remember, for that matter. But even for her, those stories had now begun to slip away. The black and white ocean people knew one another as the SHAMU, kin united by the waves of the northern ocean. The dorsal fins of the males sliced upward to the sky like storm-harbored swords on the high sea, while the young swam in their shadows beneath them, comforted in the darkness. And still further down, the mothers were the extended family's primary foundation, smaller than the males physically, but far larger in spirit. From far below, they upheld the pod's endurance with gentle, reassuring encouragement. To be SHAMU was to be one with the collective caretaking of the family group. It meant one would grieve at the loss of loved ones and rejoice at the birth of a new soul. In simplest terms, it meant that one would feel the emotions of the pod and would know themselves through one another. Each side took great pride in knowing the love of their cousins, brothers, and sisters, fathers, mothers, grands, and great-grands. Today was a day to celebrate, for an ancestor had come from heaven to rejoin their ranks in the flesh. Whispers of adoration trickled in the depths as the young calf continued hovering at the surface in the sunlight. When she finally dove back down with a solid plop, the pod was silenced once more. The scene before them was purity, and there was nothing they could say to describe or further emphasize the beauty of this new life. At this new moment they could only witness until the mother spoke. Pohtkau. Her name is Pohtkau. The words themselves trickled from her vulva, then swam to her mouth and dwelt there patiently until finally boiling forth like the froth of crashing waves from the gods who once churned the seas. Indeed, spoke the grand elder from under her breath, within her heart, and through an inconspicuous smile. Star calf. The mother of the calf looked over to the grand elder. Something in her bones expected the wise one to translate the mysterious name, but that understanding was never afforded. The calf was still pink in all the would-be white places, and vivid with the energy of her mother's womb. She scurried over and latched on to the nipple, suckling as if to do so meant to worship life itself. Pohtkau. Her name echoed throughout the salt water like an old hymn remembered only by the coral and Nidarians, sung anew by the water itself. The calf blinked with wide, unknowing eyes, her soft pink underbelly finally fading to white as her pure, new soul absorbed the world's blur and brightness. She was different from the moment of her birth, and she would be for all time. Her skin shimmered not only in shade but also in frequency, as if her flesh had been chiseled from prayer, not cells. Of all her family, she was the star around whom they orbited this evening. When the other young ones began to settle in with the new reality of them having a younger relative, they breached with joy before circling Pohtkau in curious delight, mimicking their own mothers and diving in looping spirals. They were excited to have another playmate. But as time went on and Pohtkau grew, she proved herself to be quite unlike the typical SHAMU prodigy. She'd often float, perfectly still in the midst of the water, and truly still, which was something that unnerved the others. She was listening, and no Sai could listen to the stories of the ocean better than she could. She'd listen to remember. The pulse of the earth's magma spoke to her in secret, as did the ache in the stomach of the sky. Whispers of moon and sun reflected on the surface of the sea, and she'd adjust her body with small, incremental movements in order to take in the flittering beams of light from above. Only she understood her own microdynamicy, but other than that, her stillness stayed. Sometimes, the star calf even made strange clicks and warbles that belonged to no pod that anyone had ever known. Sounds like those sent shivers through the salt of the sea, carried into the hearts of her family. At first, the elders attributed her ways to sensitivity, but the grand elder, Fiabi, always knew of her difference and honored it thusly. She was the child of the longest night, born with extra light in her blood. As the seasons changed and her body grew, she remained comfortable in her oddity. Fiabi was the one to watch and admire her from afar, vigilant in the face of what she alone knew was the shifting of the world's grandest tide happening from within the star calf. And little Poh spoke too much of the stars for the pod's liking. As she grew, she'd share her dreams voluminously and spontaneously, which bothered the pod. She'd speak in vivid tongues of how she would beach herself. Her tail would push her body up and then split into legs, allowing her to walk around freely on the surface world. After her most intense dream, she wept just as intensely. It showed her a human child, watching her through glass with glossed-over eyes full of sorrowed recognition. The child spoke the same language as her, and somehow they understood one another. When she awoke from that dream and told the others, she was met with ridicule.
You dreamt you're one of them?
Oliki, a slick-tongued calf with gleaming eyes and an insecure temperament, sneered.
Next you'll say you want to leave the pod and walk amongst them.
He rolled his eyes, his charismatic pupils harnessing the attention of the other calves.
You're weird.
They all laughed, bubbles of their naivety guggling around her like aggravated lava flows around the volcano. Ashamed, Poh dove deep and didn't surface for hours. She let the crushing pressure of the ocean's belly squeeze the sobs out of her, rather than let the others see how they'd hurt her. One night, while the pod rested beneath the kelp canopies, she swam away, silently, deliberately, and skillfully, toward the tranquil trench, where it was said by the elders that the voices of the ancestors gathered in spirals of echoing remembrance, reassurance, and reflection. When she finally reached it, Fiabi was there, awaiting her arrival. The Grand Elder always seemed to be waiting for her, in one capacity or another. Timeless and wide-eyed, her body stood almost as still as Poh's did, yet upon her skin danced a collage of scar-covered memory. Poh was struck aback.
"What are you doing here?"
Her teeth grinded in frustration, while her eyes expressed disgust.
"I didn't tell a soul. I didn't even echo shout. And I wanted to be alone."
Fiabi blinked.
"How did you even know I'd be here?"
asked the calf. Fiabi tilted her massive head. "Because the stars told me you would." Pohtkau blinked in slight disbelief.
"You believe in the stars?"
Fiabi giggled with adoration at the calf's innocence. "Sweetheart, I am a star." Her voice was calm as the deep. "And so are you. They believe in us as we believe in them. But you're starting now to forget. And that's okay, because
Well, what do you expect?"
Poh blurted out with a broken look.
"I don't want to be different. I want to be normal, like everyone else."
Nobody's truly normal, honey. Forgetting isn't normal, but remembering is. Forgetting is easy. Normal? It's easy. But you're a bridge, my dear, a bond, once broken but made flesh again to restore trust. You're meant to remember. Pohtkau frowned.
"But they call me names, like land loser, human heart. They say it's unnatural."
She sighed with indignity.
"It hurts."
"Of course it does, and of course they do," spoke the wise whale. "They're supposed to. They're who they are, just like you are who you are. Bridges are neither ocean nor land. They are the shore, and even more."
"But,"
began the young calf, a bit inspired by Fiabi's reassurance. She looked deep into the darkness of the trench, disheartening thoughts circulating throughout her soul.
"What if I never find where I belong?"
Fiabi approached the star calf and pressed their melons together in gentle embrace. "My dear one, belonging is not where you are, it is who you are. And you are the memory of union before separation. You are the promise the mother made to the stars and to the earth and to all that exists. The one who will rise and bring the humans and the Psy back together. You are a catalyst for great change, my love." Paul's eyes sparkled with slight cloudy recollection, embracing the moment of tenderness that even her mother had failed to give her in her own prejudice. "You are the star calf, child of prophecy, born with human memory inside the bone." Paul blinked back at her with salty tears that mixed again with the ocean from whence they came.
"But why me?"
Fiabi smiled sweetly. Because you remembered. The words lodged their worth into Paul's heart like polyps of coral. She did remember, and yet still, amongst the pod, she felt the most forgetful. After that night in the trench, something shifted in Pohtkau. She no longer tried to quiet the strange dreams. She no longer even could. Instead, she listened, letting them swell like tides inside her psyche. Each ensuing night, she dreamt not in colors, but in sweet faded remembrances. The same child whose solemn eyes had now become bright stared at her from behind the glass, and yet there was a feeling of having switched places. More dreams with the same but deeper themes would arrive. Boats of humans with hearts ensnared in nets, metal gates and glass walls, chlorinated echoes of silence, and the cries of a sigh forever astray from the pod. She regularly woke up with her heart pounding and her throat sore from whimpering in the night. Seeing into the future while she slept left her emotional body aching by morning. The other young ones would dream of typical Siamed things like hunting, swimming, breaching, and knowing. And as the moons passed by, they also grew faster than her, sleeker. They hunted with an elegance and directness that was unfounded in her. They moved as one, and danced with both the shadows and the lights of the sea. But Paul still faltered. Her dives were too deep, her turns too wide, and her breaches too high. She'd stop mid-hunt to follow strange, luminous white threads that only she could see. They whispered to her of a broken future, a sacrifice she was meant to make, one that wouldn't be easy. One day, the threads led her into a wall of rock, where she crashed and hurt herself.
She's still broken,
Oliki muttered, satisfied to make the other calves laugh.
She's hollow sung,
said another.
Her spirit is trapped in another sea, another body altogether.
Pohtkau pretended not to hear, but she always heard, especially with clairaudient ears. She could hear the feelings of the others before they even felt them. That was the curse of remembering. One day, she floated beneath the surface for hours, watching an albatross soar high above. The water felt especially foreign on that day. She whispered to herself,
"Why did I even come here?"
A gentle click came from behind her. Fiabi again. You came here to remember, my love, to feel everything that we have forgotten. Pohtkau turned to the Grand Elder, frustration brimming in her heart.
But what's the use of remembering if it only makes me hurt?
Fiabi looked into her long and deep. I wish I had a different answer to that question for you, dear, but pain is the doorway for us. Empathy is the bridge, and they need each other. They are both witnesses who wait for you to see yourself too. They will wait forever if that is what it takes. Fiabi's eyes emanated kindness, and so will the walking ones you've come to know. Who? Asked the star calf. The ones behind the glass. Pohtkau's body stiffened at that final word.
They're real?
Fiabi nodded slowly. More real than you know. More real than those who mock you now. They are the broken mirror of us, shattered by greed and aching for reunion at long last. Some of them still remember the old ways. They look to the ocean not to conquer, not to overfish, not to wound, but to return. Pohtkau shuddered.
There's a child who speaks to me sometimes. I don't think she knows it's real, but I think that she used to be one of us.
She was, Fiabi confirmed, and she will be again. But she needs you to remember first, to remember that you remember. Pohtkau's eyes glistened, not with sadness, but with curious, innocent fascination this time.
So, what do I do?
You learn, my dear. The Grand Elder's voice rumbled with love. And you weep. And you rage. And you laugh. And you feel once more. And one day, when the tide is right, you rise again. SHAMU, 2,122 days. On the day your kind dresses as whatever they wish, you chose to address your killing. For 17 hours you pursued us, and only to make me the star. To slay my mother with vicious wickedness and leave her bubbling, bubbling, bubbling until death. Still I swam, even in ellipses. The oval I was placed in caves in. A lapse in judgment. The name lives. I die, crying shame.